What's up, guys? It's another episode of Unfiltered. Kenny, thank you so much for tuning back into episode 2, and thank you so much for the people that took times out of their schedule to take a look at episode 1. If anybody knows about podcasts, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of details that go into it. Now, I don't have a production crew. I don't have all of that stuff, so I'm doing stuff on my own. And it's a lot of work. So the people that take the opportunity to kind of appreciate what goes into that, I appreciate you. I love you. A couple of people, have asked me, why do podcasts? Why do that? Why go down that rabbit hole? And the shortest answer to that question is, I enjoy talking. I enjoy talking about sports. I enjoy talking about politics. And I really enjoy actually getting facts out there that are actually true. So that's why I do my podcast. That's why I'll continue to do my podcast as long as everyone continues to support. And again, I received a ton of, well wishes for my first podcast. And again, I want to reiterate that I am still doing Unfiltered Idiots with Wes, aka Metro. Shout out to Metro. Like I said in my last podcast, you really want to just do some things on your own and explore some things on your own and talk about some things on your own. So that's what I'm doing here. But I have an action-packed agenda to talk about today, especially on the NFL front, as there's been a lot of things going on that front. And let's get right into it. So the GOAT, the G-O-A-T, GOAT, Tom Brady retired. And I don't know how I feel about this. And as recently as 2 years ago, I hated Tom Brady. I hated him. I hated the Patriots. I hated Bill Belichick. I hated anything that had to do with the Patriots. But then, like any other normal fan, you kind of wake up and you start looking at his stats. You start looking at his longevity. You start looking at his workout routine, and you just realized, the things that he's accomplished. And it is just insane, the NFL records. And if I have time, I'll kind of have some popping up here to kind of show you how he's first and he's the GOAT, period. But yes, Tom Brady is retiring. It's going to be a little weird. It's going to be a little weird turning on the TV and not hearing about Tom Brady, not hearing about Tampa Tom. Now, everybody, I don't know if it's just me or, I really enjoyed Tampa Tom. Tampa Tom lived his best life. And when I tell you he's out there in Florida partying, just saying whatever he wants on camera, not really having to be so structured within that Patriots organization like they do things down there. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be sad to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Tom Brady does in his future. So my hat's off to that guy. Congratulations, Tom. I can't wait to see your second half. So just moving on in the agenda. Speaking of Patriots, okay? Now stay with me a little bit. Speaking of Patriots, the Raiders hired Josh McDaniels as their brand new head football coach. Now, if anybody knows, and if you're aware, if you're a Broncos fan, now Josh McDaniels was here for, a year, a season and a half, and it just didn't go well. He had a bad attitude. He wasn't very player friendly, and it just came out of left field that they went in that direction. And I understand that they really want to kind of have the, Josh McDaniels Patriots offensive minded, way with the Raiders. And I know that Mark Davis really loves picking up offensive minded coaches. I mean, his previous coach, John Gruden. John Gruden was an offensive guru. John Gruden had a big personality. John Gruden was all of those things. So I don't know if he's just trying to bring in someone that is equally as controversial as Josh McDaniels. Now, you know that Josh McDaniels, interviewed for head coaching positions and then said he didn't want to interview for coaching positions, and then essentially was ran out of town by John Elway in Denver because of his attitude and the way he conducted himself. I'm all about giving people second chances and understanding that people grow over time. So, I didn't see this coming, Raiders fans. I honestly didn't see this coming. So we'll see if he has a different approach with the Raiders this year than he did with the Broncos. And, like I said, like people do over time as they learn and they grow. But correct me if I'm wrong. I thought that Josh McDaniels was being groomed to be the head coach of the Patriots when Bill Belichick finally retired. And is this something that he had a conversation with Bill, that Bill wasn't ready to retire over the next few years with Mac Jones being there, having the ability to kind of bring the Patriots back up through the draft and do it that way again? So maybe Josh McDaniels got word from Bill Belichick that, hey, I'm going to stick around for a few more years. Go ahead and start interviewing for other positions as head coach. So I don't know. I don't know what the conversation was, but we'll see. I'm interested to see what the Raiders do this year. Personally, and I might get heckled and I might get castrated for this, but I think that Derek Carr isn't the right quarterback for that team. Derek Carr is competitive. He shows glimpses of being great, but he's not very consistent, or can't stay consistent in being great, is my opinion. I still saw him making just really, really dumb moves, bad throws, bad decision making. So, like I said, I'm interested to see. Well, we'll follow this a little bit. I'll follow this a little bit more. But go Raiders, I guess. I feel like the Raiders fans are really not knowing how to feel about this hire. And I get it. I understand it, because Josh McDaniels has done great things with the Patriots. He's done great things with Tom Brady. He's done great things with Mac Jones. So them throwing the idea of him being the head coach out the window, I think they're going to see. I think they're going to see what he does the first season. Now, I do feel like Raider Nation is not going to be very patient with Josh McDaniels. Now, if they get off to a slow start, they start losing games over and over and over again. I don't know how long it'll take before Raider Nation turns on Josh McDaniels. Now, I just don't think it was an upgrade in coaches from their interim coach. I just don't think that. But who am I? More power to Josh McDaniels. I'm not going to be a hater. It just was ugly in Denver, very, very ugly, and he could not get out of town soon enough. So, it is what it is. Go Raiders. You guys are going to be the exact Raiders that you've always been. Let's be honest. It's going to be the same Raiders. And don't come whining to me. Don't come whining to me, okay? Now, I got my own issues. And we're going to get into these damn Denver Broncos, because, my goodness, have we gotten some things that came out this week. Not only from Brian Flores, we got the sell. We got Aaron Rodgers saying he's, interested in going to the Titans. The Broncos are hiring the entire Green Bay coaching tree. In hopes probably to get Aaron Rodgers. But anyways, Aaron Rodgers, let me just say this. Aaron Rodgers is being petty as hell, okay? I'm just saying he's being petty as hell. Don't sit here and act like we aren't trying to get our stuff together to get you here, and then you're on the other side hinting that you would go to the Titans, okay? That angers me. That makes me mad, okay? That makes me mad. And the reason why I say this is I've turned a blind eye, and normally I don't do it. I've turned a blind eye to Aaron Rodgers' antics. I really have, because I'm turning a blind eye because I'm a diehard Broncos fan and I'm sick of seeing them lose, and that's the truth. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. I hope that the Broncos aren't going to leverage their entire future on Aaron Rodgers, but it sounds like it's going to take a hefty price to get him on the team. So just following up with the Denver Broncos hired first-time head coach Nathaniel Hackett. Now, I did see Nathaniel's press conference, his initial press conference, and man, that dude has some energy, and I love it. And it's just a difference in coaching styles and personalities from Vic Fangio to Nathaniel Hackett. I was pumped after that, watching that. I can't wait to get started. I can't wait for them to get started. I have nothing to do with the team, but I can't wait to see them get started in training. And, with hiring all of these coaches, okay? With hiring all of these Green Bay coaches, does this mean that someone has an insider communication with Aaron Rodgers' agent or whatever? I know they can't do that. They're not allowed to. So I hope that the Broncos aren't leveraging their entire franchise on getting someone that may or may not come here. People are smarter than me in this business. People know a lot more than me in this business. So, being smart, doing things the right way, and ensuring that we do have a competitive team on the field is number one priority to me. So let's see what happens. So another thing is the Broncos hired Green Bay Packers offensive coach as their offensive coordinator, Justin Outen. Justin Outen is now the Denver Broncos' new offensive coordinator. Obviously, Nathaniel Hackett said that he will be calling the plays for Denver this coming up season. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I did hear that the Broncos did bring back in Clint Kubiak from the Kubiak coaching tree. So that's great. It seems like they're building a nice little offensive mastermind machine. So that's great. This all goes back to putting great product on the field and being consistent and good play calling and good time management and good just overall preparation that we didn't see over the last 3 or 4 years with Vic Fangio. So I'm excited to see, Nathaniel Hackett's initial coming up season and see how that goes. Now, I'll be completely honest with you, and I said this a little bit about the Raiders. The Raiders fan base, they're on the edge, right? They're ready to win. They're ready to make playoff games. They're ready to go, right? So when I say that, on the Broncos side, we're not used to our team losing consistently, right? We're used to being at least in the playoffs, maybe first round, second round losses, but this not going to the playoff stuff is unacceptable to me. It is totally unacceptable, and I know that it's unacceptable to Broncos country. So we're rooting for you, Coach. We're rooting for the players. We're rooting for anyone that comes to Denver to make our team better. But now is the time that we start pulling this together and we start winning. So we'll see. We'll see. Now, on the other side of the news this week, Mr. Brian Flores, ex-head football coach for the Miami Dolphins, has filed a civil lawsuit against the Denver Broncos, stating discrimination, with John Elway, Joe Ellis, and whoever was there in the interview. And I'll be completely honest with you, I don't necessarily believe every detail of what Brian said, but I do believe a lot of what he said happened during that interview. I believe that maybe John Elway and the crew might have had some drinks the night before. Now, John Elway has come out very harshly and said and refuted all of these claims wholeheartedly. I mean, he's went on Facebook, Twitter, all of those platforms that he has to say that this was not true. John Elway stated that they got in late. They had an early interview scheduled with Brian Flores, and they were tired. They were disheveled, So anyone that's lived in Colorado long enough knows. You know what I'm talking about. You're scratching your head and knowing that there might be a little bit of truth to what Brian Flores says. But like I said on some posts that I've tweeted out and on Facebook, I'm interested to hearing the facts. I know that Brian really thought long and hard about what he did. Now, you understand that when you're in the NFL, you start making accusations like that, you're putting your job at risk. You're putting everything at risk of coaching again in that league. It's such a, tight-knit, white male dominated league. And for Brian to come out and speak on that, he's got big kahunas, man, But those are the things that we need to do in terms of social change. We need to start sticking up for ourselves and start sticking up for things that are, not right. Not sticking up, but really start diving into things that aren't being perceived as right. Now, we all know that the NFL has a Rooney Rule, and essentially that means that you must interview, I don't know the exact rule, but you must interview an African-American coach during your head coaching search. So I know that Brian Flores had mentioned that he was just brought in because of this rule, and kind of coupled with Bill Belichick's text to Brian Flores that weren't supposed to go to Brian Flores. They were supposed to go to the new Jets head coach. So I'll put those up too. Somehow, some way, Bill Belichick got intertwined in this mess that this is. So like I said, I really do look forward to hearing the facts and seeing what's going on. And if this does deem to be true, then everyone should be held accountable for their actions. And, even if that means the legend, the hero of Colorado, John Elway, it's time for them to be held accountable. And I think that as we go down the sale of the Broncos and start to figure out who the new ownership group will be for this organization, I think that more structure will be in place, and some of these long-term executives with the team will no longer be here or will no longer be in the same capacity that they are in today. So I think with new ownership, that comes stability, that comes just a regularity of things, of just, getting this franchise sort of stabilized, because it's kind of been an influx for the last, since, even before Peyton even when Peyton was here, we were still, talking about ownership change and who will be the owner and what they were doing with that. So I'm looking forward to putting this to bed once and for all, and I will continue to report on that as more information comes in about it. Now, my very last topic of the day, the Super Bowl. Now we have the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the LA Rams. Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking that you should sleep on the Bengals, you are sadly mistaken, man. I saw them, play against the Chiefs, Titans, and the Raiders and just do their thing. You know what I mean? It kind of looked like the Bengals were gelling and coming together as one just over the playoffs. And it's funny that that the Bengals are going into the playoffs, because that was the only game that I watched in person here in Denver when the Bengals were here playing Denver at home. And never in my mind did I ever think that this was a special team, the Bengals. I just felt like they were the better team that day, but I didn't see anything spectacular from them. So, the NFL game is a game, the old saying says it's like any given Sunday, right? It's the team that wants it the most. It's the team that's most prepared. And sometimes it's a little bit of luck. And I honestly believe that. And, the Rams are stacked. They have a great defense. They have a great offense. But I just, shouldn't sleep on them. You shouldn't sleep on them all. And Joe Burr is the truth, guys. And he's the future of the NFL. And he does it with a kind of a swagger. And it's funny because I was on Twitter the other day, and some of his tweets that he tweeted like back in 2013, they're just hilarious. He's just a normal guy that loves football. He's a normal guy that goes out there and works his tail off, and just plays football, and he props his teammates up, and I love it. I just love that team. Now, I really, really want the Bengals to win. Now, on the other side, we have we have Von Miller in the Super Bowl again, first in Super Bowl 50. I don't know. I have mixed feelings. In one aspect, I'm being a hater. I'm being a hater because I don't want to see him win, because he was a Bronco this year, and he is a Bronco. I mean, when you think about Von Miller, you don't think about Von Miller being a Ram. You think about Von Miller and what he did for the Broncos organization. So yeah, okay, I'm being a hater. And that's what I'll be. I don't want Von to win. Von should only win Super Bowls in Denver, okay? If he wins one, respect, bro, but it's just going to be weird. I'm sorry. And on the other hand, Sean McVay, I mean, that dude's a genius. He's an offensive genius, and he gets his players ready to go every single night. He has a ton of energy. Now, I'm older than him. I'm, a few years older than him. And at his age, I didn't even have that energy. So to see him pump his team up, really love his job, really get into it, really dissect every part of the game, and ensuring that all of his players are prepared every Sunday. It's just amazing what he's done over the last few years. It's interesting to see, kind of the coaching tree, because the Bengals coach is part of the McVay coaching tree. So it's really interesting to see what his coaches have done this year, because it seems like a ton of his former coaches were in the playoffs this year and gotten deep in the playoffs. So, hats off to him. It's all about, and we got to see that, when I was younger. So we saw all of the coaches that were from the Mike Shanahan coaching tree. So to see other coaches come off of the McVay coaching tree is just amazing to watch. And they're young, and they're super, super young. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this Super Bowl. I'm going to do a podcast probably after the Super Bowl. But yeah, a lot of things going on, a lot of world events going on. So on the other hand, yes, my podcast is a lot about sports. But again, I'm going to bring in, the politics a little bit too. And when I do that, I really encourage everyone to voice their opinions, be respectful, because I'll be respectful in my responses. But I really encourage you to engage, because, I understand that not everyone is going to agree with my political views and what I think, and that's okay. But as long as we can collaborate and move this world, this country, this whatever together, it makes me a lot happier to do that. So I'm going to have more podcasts coming. I'm looking forward to it again. Thank you guys so much for your support. And also, please do not forget to subscribe, like, follow, all those good things to Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and subscribe right now, guys. Come on, help me out. I will continue to do everything. The link's going to be in the bio, at Unfiltered Kenny on everything, guys. Thank you again so much for your support. I look forward to doing many more shows. And yeah, if you want to collaborate, if you want to come on, if you want to talk with me, if you want to Zoom in with me, whatever, let's collab. Let's have fun with this. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night. I see you're still there. Have you subscribed yet?